Fans of the CBS drama NCIS were saddened when Mark Harmon stepped down from his legendary role as Agent Leroy Gibbs after the show's 19th season. However, many of them are crossing their fingers, hoping that the 71-year-old will return for the season 20 finale. So, will Harmon ever make a return to the show?
Hey, McGee.
Yeah.
Well, fans have been begging Mark to return to NCIS since 2021, when his last episode as Agent Gibbs aired.
Hello, Leon.
Gibbs, how you doing?
I'm headed to Alaska.
Yeah. I know.
In a recent interview with TV Insider, Mark's friend and co-star Rocky Carroll discussed the possibilities. He even hinted that we might run into the man who portrays Agent Gibbs again. That remains a possibility as long as the show is still being aired. Rocky Carroll also had this to say: Gibbs is our sense of right and wrong. He's the one everyone wishes they had a moral compass like. The other members of the cast and crew of the show have made it quite obvious that they miss having Mark around, and they have often hinted at the possibility of his return. Actor Sean Murray, who plays Timothy McGee.
It's Delilah. Something unusual came out in her blood work. How bad is it? No, I haven't checked my email. Are they sure? Okay.
Told Parade last year, I really truly believe that the Gibbs could pop up someplace. As unlikely as it may sound, I think it's possible. Showrunner Stephen D. Binder also offered some hope of Harmon's return during his interview with TV Insider. I don't see how we don't see him one more time at one point. Interestingly, Harmon still has a unique connection to the show. This is because he is still credited as an executive producer, which means whenever the actor feels like returning to the part, he will be warmly welcomed back. If you haven't been keeping up with NCIS, you might be curious about the circumstances surrounding Mark Harmon's departure. With Mark Harmon's departure as Special Agent in Charge, Leroy Jethro Gibbs, NCIS has never been the same since his 2003 debut.
Man, she just wrote herself one hell of an ending, don't you think? How many cases do you think I've worked in?
NCIS is now CBS's longest-running scripted primetime series, chronicling the exploits of federal special agents tasked with solving crimes, foiling terrorist plots, and guarding the Navy's and Marine Corps' most closely guarded secrets. NCIS was created by Don McGill and prolific creator-producer Donald P. Belisario, who also gave us the baseball cap-wearing detective series Magnum P.I., among many others. Over the course of the show's 18-year run, there have been several notable cast exits, but none as momentous as that of Harmon. CBS is no stranger to replacing star actors, yet NCIS managed to continue without Agent Gibbs despite the void he left. Since Harmon left the show early in the season, CBS had ample time to determine whether or not it could continue without him. Gibbs' departure from NCIS was the culmination of a plot point that had been developing for quite some time. In the second-to-last episode of Harmon's season, the crew learns that the murders they had attributed to a serial killer were actually committed by a paid hitman. Gibbs agreed to drive the hitman to his destination when FBI agent Alden Parker abandoned them. The assassin blew himself up, but not before telling Gibbs who had hired him. As part of his study, Gibbs flew to Nuktok, Alaska, where he found Sonova Industries, whose planned copper mining project threatened to devastate the area. Gibbs and the NCIS team were closing in on Sonia Eberhard, CEO of Sonova, after learning she hired the hitman to eliminate anyone who would expose specifics of the environmental devastation the mine would do. Gibbs and his squad, notably Wilmer Valderrama's Nick Torres, had a significant presence in this episode of NCIS. The episode was peppered with team scenes, alluding to Gibbs' impending departure. He must have known he wouldn't need his phone when this case ended, because he dumped it inside a coffee mug before departing. However, retirement was never in Gibbs' plans. Agent Gibbs breached the law when he abandoned the FBI and assisted the assassin in reaching his intended destination. He fully intended to serve his sentence for the crime he committed, and he even advised Parker where to find him, but that was not how Gibbs' NCIS career would come to a close. After realizing how much good Gibbs had done, Parker disregarded instructions to arrest him, which ultimately cost him his job. But Gibbs opted to stay put since he finally felt at peace. For the first time since his wife and daughter had died, he felt at peace, and he didn't want to lose it. Harmon was was ready to move on from NCIS by the end of its 18th season, which is why Gibbs left the show in real life. He made sure the show will return for a 19th season by agreeing to appear briefly at the beginning of the next one. He had a personal interest in the show's continuation as a producer and a longtime fan of the franchise. NCIS had a better chance of being renewed if its lead character left the show at the beginning of a season rather than at the end of the previous one. Nonetheless, there was plenty of opportunity for NCIS to demonstrate its viability without Harmon. Parker, who had previously lost his job for siding with Gibbs, discovered a position waiting for him at NCIS. Now that we know why Gibbs' character left the show, it's time to find out why the man who played the role decided to call it quits. Mark Harmon opted for retirement rather than a heroic death, leaving the door open for a possible return. In a statement posted the night after Harmon's resignation, showrunner Steve Binder said, "As an executive producer and dear friend, Mark continues to be an integral part of the fabric of the show. Our North Star has always been keeping loyal to our characters, and Leroy Gibbs should never be written off. Whether or not NCIS will continue after Mark Harmon's departure is very much up in the air. After all, Gibbs is the show's protagonist, and viewers have grown attached to him over the course of NCIS's long run. However, several other series have endured after the death of their protagonist and continued on for additional seasons. The success of NCIS's 19th season in the ratings largely determined how well audiences fared without Gibbs. He left NCIS at the beginning of the season in large part to see if the show could continue without him. But fans of NCIS are used to the show killing off beloved characters, so this latest departure won't come as much of a shock. Still, Gibbs' departure is among the most tragic character deaths NCIS fans will have to endure. Thankfully, Agent Parker filled the massive void left by Mark Harmon's departure. Mark Harmon, 1 year after Gibbs departed NCIS, opened up about his decision to leave and his plans for the future. Harmon made the remarks on the season 19 DVD release when he discussed Gibbs' impact on the program and the NCIS brand as a whole. The actor claimed that after 18 seasons of playing Jethro Leroy Gibbs, he yearned for the opportunity to work on fresh and challenging material that was beyond the scope of his NCIS commitments. He did, however, leave the door ajar with some encouraging words. According to what Harmon stated in the DVD extra, Gibbs is not retired as a character and could make guest appearances in the future. As far as I am aware, the protagonist currently resides in the great land of Alaska. The decisions this character made were crucial to the plot. To be frank, I had no problems with it. Although Gibbs has not come back, he is not forgotten. The show has made sure to keep Gibbs' legacy alive by referencing him in at least 3 episodes this season. So could these Agent Leroy Gibbs references mean he'll be back to the show soon? There has been no confirmation for now, but it's certainly looking very likely.